Hi everybody, we continue with the Zohar page by page. We're going to give you another 15 minutes, maybe more today. And we continue with the Hebrew letters, how they present themselves in front of God to beg God to create the world with them. And think about it. I mean, how many of us really praying to God to say, hey, can you use me as a vessel, as a vehicle to create something tremendous in your world? I think sometimes we don't have enough desire to ask for those things. So here I'm in the Sulam, Rav Ashlag commentary, verse 27, with the letter Pei. נכנסה עוד Pei, the letter Pei came in and told them, ריבון העולמים, master of the world, טוב לפניך לברוא בי את העולם. It's good for you to create the world with me. כי הגאולה שאתה עתיד לעשות, because the redemption you're supposed to do eventually is in my name. From the word pedut. Pedut is a very old Hebrew. Most people speak Hebrew, don't even know this word exists. Pedut is to redeem. So to redeem is in my name. So for that reason, if the whole future of humanity depends on me, you should create with me the world. God answered, Amar la, he told her, Yafeh at, you are beautiful, letter Pei. But I have to tell you, letter Pei, there is another name that starts with you. It's called Pesha. Pesha means crime. So if crime been created with you, it's not so good. And it's not just coincidence that you are in charge of crime. Because let's describe the letter Pei for a second. Those of you who never saw the letter Pei, the way it looked like snake that looking inside. It's like that. So the Zohar is telling us, Rabbi Shimon is saying, it's like a snake that hit the person and then put his head into his body so nobody can find him. The same thing, whoever commit a crime, after he make the crime, he makes sure to hide. Why when a person commit a crime, he hide? Where's that? No, there's no police. Hide. Where does it come from, say the Zohar? From the snake. Because the snake inject within, unfortunately, our body consciousness, soul consciousness, not soul, but nefesh, inject into us the crime mentality. So whenever we want to commit a crime, we don't do it because we want. We do it because we've been injected with the poison of the snake to do it. And for that reason, the Pei. So God said to the Pei, please don't discuss with me about Pedut, redemption, because within your name, there is also crime. And the same thing he told the next letter down, Ain. Because the letter Ain is Avon, is a different name for crime. But she say, letter Ain say God. But the word humble, which means Anva, it's written with my name. So after God already told her, don't come in, the letter Ain pushed the door and come in front of God. I find it so beautiful because the desire that those letters has to create the world, most people think the world just created. No, the tools of God was the Hebrew letters. That's why in the Tower of Babylon, they knew how to use the letter to create different things. So God again said to her, I will not create with you the world. Then she left. And we continue. Come letter Samech. To remind those of you who just joined us, the letters going in reverse order, starting from Taf all the way to Aleph. So Samech came in, said, God, I think I am the perfect letter to create the world. I'll tell you why. Because I'm Smicha. Smicha means supporter. I'm the supporter. I'm supporting whoever is falling apart. As it's written in the book of Psalm, in the letter Samech, those of you who know, there's a section in Psalm coming from Ashrei, Somech Hashem lekol hanoflim. God is supporting all the one who fall apart. So God answered the letter Samech, I agree with you. If you support the all who falling apart, then do not move from your seat. Because you need it there to make sure whoever is falling apart, you will be there for them. Because if you're going to leave, what will be about all the people that I created that will fall apart? I need you there. So it will be no failure. Samech, right away, get out. Come the letter Nun, the master of the world. I think I am the greatest letter to create the world with. Because there is a word in the book of Psalm of King David, Nora Te'ilot, a great wonder. Okay? כתוב נאווה תהילה, the beauty of wonder. God said, go back to your place. Didn't you see the letter before you went back to a place? Samech. You letter Nun. The letter Nun represents falling, nofel. Samech is somech, support. Together, somech, noflim, support of the falling. Don't leave your seat. Because if you leave your seat, the only reason Samech was not create the world is because of you. You represent the falling part. She, the Samech, represent the building part of the falling. For that reason, those of you who don't know, how do you say miracle in Hebrew? Nun and Samech. Nes. Now you know why. Nun and Samech. He said, you got to work with Nun and work together. There's so much more to explain, but I'm doing only the simple part of the Zohar as we would like eventually to accomplish it. Yeah. So after that, the letter Mem come in. Say, Master of the world, please create with me the world. Because your name is a king. And how do you say king? You start with my letter. Mem. Melech. Amar lakach uvadai, I agree. You say, I agree. You're the strongest letter that king has been able to do. But I'm not going to choose you to create the world with you. Because the world need king. Please go back to your place. And in the same time, if you look at the word king, how is the word king in Hebrew written? First mem, then lamed, then kaf. Meaning those letters are exactly the letters that go in a reverse order. What's coming after mem? Reverse order, lamed. What's coming reverse order after lamed? Kaf. So the way you write king is to write those letters backward. It's amazing. If you take those letters in a regular order, it's klum, nothing. So nothing is a coincidence. Melech, king. So, but kaf, the letter kaf, the two letters down from mem, left the throne of the king of God, and throne in Hebrew is also called kiseh. Kiseh means chair. That's how they call it. They don't call it throne. They call it kiseh hakavod. So the first letter of kiseh, of chair, is kaf. The letter came out of the chair. It's the master of the world. Create with me the world. I'm your owner. I'm your pride. But when she left, the letter left the throne, the chair, 200,000 world start shaking, and the chair start shaking. Amar la Kadosh Baruch Hu, kaf, kaf. God said to the letter kaf, what are you doing? Why you even come to ask me to create the world? I will not create the world with you. Go to the place. Don't forget that your letter is also the way that you say disaster in Hebrew. Kiliyah. Kiliyah, when you disaster, there is catastrophe. That's kiliyah. So go back to the chair, go back to the throne, and be there. Shocking conversation. I mean, there is so much more explanation that it's just beautiful. The letter Yud, after Kaf come Yud, the most famous letter, Yud. Tell him, Master of the world, you got to create the world with me. I'm the beginning of your name. Yud Kevavke, Tachigametan. I'm the beginning. It will be beautiful to create with me the world. Answer God to her, look at it, beautiful. It's enough that you are the first letter of my name. And all what I want is you. Can you imagine God said, all what I want is the letter Yud. And I would like you to stay in my name Because if you left my name, what am my name will be without you? First, to all the people who don't know, when a scribe write the Torah has to be, all the letters to start with Yud, and then you add the other letter, all letters. So it's Yud with the ink, and then you can make the Yud into A, the Aleph, but it's Yud all the time. Just to appreciate those small letter of Yud. So he said, it cannot be created. Letter Tet came after her. The master of the world, it will be wise and good for you to create in me the world, because I'm the letter Tet. I'm the famous letter Tet. What is the letter Tet good for? Tov. T-O-V. What does T-O-V mean? Goodness. Answer God right away, I will not create the world with you. כי טובך סתום בתוכך, בגדול זה תוכך. He say, look at yourself, Tet. How you build? You build similar to the letter Pei. You have round and you're going in. That means the goodness is within you, it's not outside. And every goodness that you represent is for the future. And if everything is for the future, then you cannot create this physical world. The letter Tet, you belong to the next world to come. To after the physical world will go to a different vibration and frequency. After the Messiah will come, the frequency will change. Then Tet will be perfect. But now, you cannot create anything in the physical world. That's why the letter Tet look like that, to remind us that goodness is in potential, but it's not in actual. But I would like to use you, say God, to the next world to come. After people die, they go to the next level, you are perfect there. Because the goodness is within you. And the second concern I have with you, say God to the letter Tet, if I connect you to the next letter down, which is Chet, the word sin is coming out. Two of you together create the word sin. And for that letter, for that reason, those two letters were never mentioned when you're mentioning the tribe of Israel. The 12th tribe never have those two letters together, because those two letters represent sin. For that reason, a lot of Hasidim don't eat nuts doing between Rosh Hashanah till after Sukkot, because the word nuts is the same numerically value as the word chet, sin. Yeah. So the chet and tet, one unit? No. We jumping to Zayin. Come the letter Zayin, Abraham said, Master of the world, it's good for you to create with me the world. Because people will keep Shabbat with me. I'm the seventh day. Like you told them, remember the day of Shabbat. The way you say remember, Zohar, it starts with the letter Zayin. Said to her God, I will not create with you the world. Because you are war. The way you say weapon in Hebrew is klei Zayin. The letter is Zayin, and the same letter for weapon is Zayin as well. So, it's all about the war. You are very similar, said to our God, to the letter Nun. I couldn't create Nun, the physical world, because Nun represents falling, and I don't want to create falling in the world. So Zayin is gone. The letter Vav came in. The master of the world is good for you to create the world with me. I'm one of your name. Remember, the letter Vav is one of his name. So God spoke to Vav, and he brought A into the picture. He said, letters. You are part of my name like Yud. Yud K, Vav K. It's enough you're my name. You are carved in my name. Everything is about you. I will not create with you the world. What left after A? Dalet v'Gimel. Came Dalet, Od Gimel. So Dalet Gimel came together. And he said, we are here to create the world, so it will be enough for poor people to be in the world. Because the letter Dalet comes from the word Dal. Dal means being poor. Gimel comes from the word Gomel, supporting or generosity. It's funny they are next to each other. Because the way you say, I support the poor, Gomel Dalim. You start with Gimel, And they're similar to the Nun and Samech. When the Nun and Samech is Nes, between miracle, but if you reverse is Somech Noflim, support the one who fall. So the Dalet is the poor, the Gimel is the one who support the poor, and they need to be together all the time. Say to them, God, I cannot create the world with you because you have to stay together. Two of you have to stay together. Wherever there is poor people, there is rich people who can take care of them. Wherever there is misery, there is an opportunity for things to be good. That's on the Gimel Dalet. We are in verse 37. Come the letter Bet. Tell them, the Creator, it's good for you to create the world with me. Because people bless you above and below. Bracha. The word bracha. B for bracha. Bet for bracha. And the way Bet spoke, he said, with me, people bless above the angels and below the human. Answer God, for sure, I will create the world with you, and you will be the beginning of creation. Can you imagine? Here we go. The letter Bet won. Bet came up with one word. I'm good for one thing, blessing. But not just in the physical world, in the spiritual world, two blessing. Say, God, I will create with you the world. Very simple, right? What about the last letter, or the first, Aleph? עמדה אות א' ולא נכנסה. Letter Aleph refused to get in to even ask God to create the world with. אמר לה הקדוש ברוך הוא, tell her God, א' א'. זה א' א'. letter. למה אין את נכנסת? Why you not come in? Like the other letters. Why you staying outside? אמרה לפניו, told them א', ריבון העולם, master of the world. I saw all the letter came in, and all of them left. What could I add to the picture? Second reason, I saw you gave that crown to the letter Bet to create the world. And it's not nice for a king, the master of the world, God, to take a gift from someone and to give it to another person. It's not the nice behavior. God was very impressed with that answer. Say, Aleph, Aleph, letter Aleph. Yes, Bet will create this world. But you, from this point on, will be the head of all Hebrew letters. En biyuchud elabach. And when people want to combine all the meditation, they have to use you. With you, everybody will start counting. Number one. Aleph is one. The numerical value of the letter Aleph is one. All humanity will start with one. V'kol ma'aseh bnei olam, every action of humanity will start with you. And that's what happened. See if I need to add something more. I'm in verse 39. And God did great letters. We know the Torah has three types of letters. Large letter, most of the letters that you find, and small letters. So the large letter represent Bina, the small one, okay, אותיות קטנות, ארוזות על ספירות המלכות, and that's why, משום זה כתוב בית בית, דהיינו, בראשית ברא. That's why when you look at Genesis, it says בראשית ברא. בראשית ברא, in the beginning God created, but you have two bet. בראשית is one bet, ברא, created the second bet. And you also have the two letter Aleph. After it says בראשית ברא, what is this next word? Elokim et, God de. Also two Aleph, two bet, two Aleph, the initial, the first letter. שהאלף ובית הראשונות שהן אותיות מלמעלה מבינה והאלף שאותיות מלמטה. So it's showing you to combine malchut and bina together. Yeah. The next lecture will continue next time.